How you get, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Georgia Bulldogs basketball off-season content. And today we're talking something that has kind of offended me a little bit. Georgia basketball has released its home non-conference slate, which means the schedule is complete with the exception of just 3 games. The 2 games in Charleston, and then a game in Atlanta, or another neutral site game. In Georgia, the poor dogs are getting tracked for this schedule, and I'm here in defense of Georgia's basketball program and the schedule. I am going to right the wrong that you guys are talking about. So, I thought about it. There's a few things I have thought about with this schedule, and we're going to talk about them right now. So we'll make sure this doesn't go off when I click it. It does not. Okay, good. So we'll make sure one more time. Okay, good. So we're going to start with Georgia's opener versus Bellarmine, or we're going to hold this Bellarmine, Maryland East Shore, Morehead State, Georgia Tech, Florida A&M, Tennessee Tech, Western Carolina, West Georgia, and Long Island. Those are the home games on Georgia's basketball schedule. So we're going to start with the first 3: Bellarmine, Maryland East Shore, and Morehead State. Some of the criticism you guys are saying is to a certain extent fair. I mean, I never even heard of Maryland East Shore until they released our schedule. But as we saw last year when Georgia played Tennessee Tech to open the season, and then North Florida and Texas Southern, those were the first 3 games of last season. Anything could happen in these games. These games, sure, you might have never heard of Bellarmine or Maryland East Shore, but they're not automatic wins. Or the games Georgia should win, absolutely yes. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is you're basing a team by a name and not actually. Well, I mean, Bellarmine went on the road a few years ago and beat Louisville, so I mean they could. I don't think they're going to win, but they're not as bad as some of you guys are making them be. And it's always the first week of the year that is always sloppy for some teams. South Carolina, Florida went on to win the national championship, and they were struggling last year in their first opening week. Who were they lose? I think it was USF, I believe. And now we'll go with these games: Morehead State, Georgia Tech, and Florida A&M. And Georgia Tech is I'm not talking about Georgia Tech here. I'm talking about Florida A&M. That is a trap game. Florida A&M has had a really good, not great, but good basketball program. Western Carolina is a trap game as well. The Catamounts, if you remember, they played in the opening of the 2022-23 season. Western Carolina almost beat Georgia in that game. West Georgia and Long Island should be wins as well. But here's the issue, and the issue was a lot of people not reading. These are the home games. Let me put my foot down and let me explain this to you guys. Georgia has to play 3 more games: 2 in Charleston and 1 versus a team in a neutral site, which I believe is in Atlanta. They're not going to be scheduling Bellarmine in Atlanta. They're not going to be playing Bellarmine in the Charleston Classic. Xavier is an NCAA tournament team. Clemson is an NCAA tournament team. West Virginia always very, very solid. Whoever we're playing in Atlanta will be a great team. So, I mean, I don't want to hear that crap about Georgia's schedule looking soft or Georgia should be ashamed of their schedule. Well, in reality, it's an A to B schedule. Sure, yes. I hear your criticism. Georgia, you'll be saying, well, Georgia should be scheduling teams like Maryland, East Shore. That's fair. But at the same time, too, we go back to 2023, for example. That played Wake Forest, they played Oregon, they played Miami, they played Providence, they played Florida State. I forgot about Florida State. They're going to be playing Florida State in the SEC ACC Challenge. Florida State is not doing particularly good at the moment. That's still a ACC team. So really, guys, people need to think about this. And the last point I wanted to make was does Georgia really even need a death row non-conference schedule? And the answer is no. Teams like Florida are playing unbelievably hard non-conference schedules. And I applaud them for doing so. But at the same time, you see Georgia here. Well, Georgia's going to play number 5 Auburn. Georgia's going to play the defending national champions Florida not once but twice. And they have to go to the O'Connell Center, which is a house of nightmare for the Dogs. They're going to have to play Alabama. They're going to have to play Arkansas. The SEC itself is a gauntlet. So why would you schedule a non-conference gauntlet that will have you under the 8 ball when you start conference play when you're about to go into a bigger and more meaner gauntlet? From a scheduling standpoint, that makes 0 sense. It does. It makes 0 sense. Teams like Florida and Auburn and Alabama, the reason they're scheduling these harder non-conference games is because, they're the best teams in the SEC. Tennessee, Arkansas. So, it would be almost suicide for Georgia I'm just going to give you an example. I'll give you Florida's Duke and UConn. Why on earth would we do that knowing we're going to go to Florida twice, we're going to have to play Auburn twice, and unless anything changes. I know the rotation has changed. Georgia will not be playing Auburn twice. At the moment, I believe it'll be Florida and Carolina, and then you add another team to that. But, I don't understand why people are mad at our schedule when in reality, Georgia has done, this is a great schedule. You add the 2 games in Charleston, Florida State, and then another neutral court game probably in Atlanta against a good group of 5 team or a good Power 5 team. I don't know what else people were expecting. Did y'all think Georgia was going to have UConn and Duke and North Carolina and Arizona on their schedule? No. Why would we do that? We need games that are winnable for us. Connecticut might be winnable for Florida. But we need games winnable to us. And I'm in no way, shape, or form, saying that this is our quality. I am not saying that at all. But what I am saying, obviously, if Georgia played UConn, I would believe and think Georgia could win that game. But what I'm saying is, this schedule is going to do nothing but benefit Georgia basketball for the 2025-26 season. It's going to be nothing but beneficial. And then you got people who haven't even watched a Georgia basketball game, if you want to be honest with it, saying what a horrible schedule that is. Let me tell you something. Bellarmine, Georgia Tech, Tennessee Tech, Western Carolina, those are all trap games for Georgia. And then you add Florida State, on the road at Florida State. Then you add West Virginia, Xavier, Clemson in the Charleston Classic. Then you add another team in Atlanta. The schedule is fine, ladies and gentlemen. Georgia's basketball schedule is fine. I don't like what I'm reading about it. I think that's total malarkey. Georgia's basketball schedule is fine the way it is. This schedule will be nothing but beneficial to Georgia basketball as we start 25-26 SEC play. Because let me tell you something. You thought the SEC was tough last year. It's going to be more tougher this year. Florida won the national championship last season, and they they look like a team that could win it again this year. They will be just as good or better than they were last year. Auburn is going to be great again. Alabama is going to be great again. Tennessee is going to be good. Arkansas is going to be good. Ole Miss, Mississippi State is going to be good. Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Georgia, Missouri. I could just name the rest of the SEC, Oklahoma. These teams are going to be great to excellent teams this year. And the quality of our non-conference schedule is going to help us prepare for those teams. That's just the way it is. Georgia already is going to have a gauntlet in SEC play, so why on earth would we do something that gets us behind the 8 ball in non-conference play already? Because look, here's the deal. Without Georgia's non-conference schedule last year, that middle of the season losing streak we got on would have been disastrous. It kind of already was disastrous, but you get the point. It would have been a lot worse. Why was it not as worse? Because Georgia beat Florida, Georgia beat Texas, Georgia beat South Carolina, Georgia beat Vanderbilt, Georgia beat St. John's. You see, the Clemson or Xavier game or whoever it is, that's going to be the equivalent of the St. John's game this year. So if Georgia could win their non-conference games and win their SEC games, guys, it's going to be fine. I don't like what I'm reading about the schedule. I really don't. I think it's childish. I think it is childish. But we'll calm down, and I'll just leave you guys with that. Georgia basketball will be fine for the 2025-26 season. Georgia's non-conference schedule, it from a outsider standpoint, you know, I understand the criticism that the people have, but at the same time, I hate to sound rude, but you're kind of wrong. Florida State, Clemson, Xavier, West Virginia, neutral court game in Atlanta, Georgia Tech. I mean, the schedule's not that bad, guys. It is not that bad at all. So now we are 140 days to Georgia basketball starts the season. Let's get it, guys. Go Hoop Dogs.